Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's proclamation news and Gavins. Thank you all for coming through. It is Sunday, the 18th. Sunday, the 18th of July. I just want to thank everyone for coming through. I really appreciate everyone supporting the show. It is the prodigious, the Professor Johnson at P&G. It's a brand new edition. I'm sitting comfortable in my seat. You wouldn't believe it. Behind me, we've got the transport sector. We've got proclamation news and Gavin's logo on my picture. And then we've got Parliament. We've got Brexit Stone. We've got it all. We're cool as mountains. Everything around us, surrounded. But we're actually building my studio. I'm comfortable sitting in my armchair today. I brought my armchair in from my bedroom. I had it next to my bed for when I'm, doing my academic study. But I thought, you know what? I sit comfortable while I'm speaking to the audience. It's important, isn't it? Especially in this heat. My goodness. We've got a lot to get through today. No business like show business. More knife crime. We're never going to prevent knife crime unless we stop selling knives on shop floors and confiscating from houses. It's a bit like the guns in America, isn't it? We really need to confiscate them all start fresh. But how hard would it be to confiscate a lot? I don't know. Anyway, if you want to change your aspirations in life, better your well-being, please have a look on relaxuk.com. Relax UK limited health, travel and wellness products since 1997. UK relaxation shop, selling various ranges of products from relaxation, travel, well-being, bar feedback, sleeping and natural products. Also, get your pen ready, get your phone ready, take this number down if you want CCTV intruder alarms set up around your premises or your business or your household. PSS alarms, etiquette and pragmatic works carried out. All works covered, including central station monitoring provided. All work done according to insurance requirements. This is a friend of mine's company. He's carried out works in Harry Kane's stepmother's house in Hertfordshire, Pod Spa. He carried out etiquette works in Essex, such as Casbah Restaurant and many more big business. You can see how etiquette it is to work. Harry Kane is England manager, the England captain. One of the best strikers out there at the moment in the Premiership. So, the guy, Tariq Khan, is very etiquette. Otherwise, he wouldn't be trusted in the business. That's why he got called to do the job. Well worth giving him a call. Installation and maintenance of intruder alarms, fire alarms, CCTV, all work guaranteed and certified to SSAIB standards. 24-hour call-out service can provide CCTV for pubs, clubs, restaurants, or new business setup. Secure your business. Mention Professor Johnson for an extra discount. Secure your home, secure your business. Your safety and priorities within your business are paramount. So think safety, think first, secure your equity. Contact Tariq Khan. First 6 digits are 07908 07908 216 142. That's 07908 216 142. 07908 216 142. Right, moving on, we're going to look at the road incidents today. It's Sunday. People are still going to be travelling, going to seaside resorts or coming back from holiday perhaps. We get a lot of London tourists in Essex. A lot of people come to Essex in the summer because we've got beaches. Obviously, we like to go to the city centre sometimes to go shopping, see what's around the shops. I'm going to give this incident in Manchester. I don't really give out much shout for Manchester. There's people up north who might want to know what's going on. Road closed on the A56, object in road, traffic code mile, road closed due to sinkhole in the road. A56, Bury New Road, both ways between Richmond Avenue and Buckingham Road. Traffic is open. Road has been closed since Friday afternoon. This is in Manchester, ladies and gentlemen. As of 16th, it's still closed. Otherwise, it still won't be there. It's in between Clapton and Colchester. A133 partially blocked accident, slow traffic. Partially blocked slow traffic due to accident A133 southbound around Freighton turnoff, affecting traffic heading towards Clacton Sea, not helped by holiday traffic, just like I said. This was reported at 8 a.m. this morning. Freighton, you know where Freighton is, isn't it? So I was talking about it yesterday near Mannheim roundabout. A133, slow traffic in construction area, St Andrews Avenue, awaiting the A132, Ipswich Road, in the construction area. First reported at 20 past 10 this morning. Chelmsford, A12, slow traffic on the A12 northbound between Junction 19. A130, Colchester Road, Boreham Interchange at Junction 22. Whitton North, 20 to 9 a.m. first reported. One more incident I'm going to give out, ladies and gents, Southend, and we're going to get on. A127, heavy traffic on the A127 South End, Arterial Road, eastbound between A127, Billericay, Noak Bridge turnoff, and A132 East Main, Nibenden. This is reported on today at 20 to 9 a.m. No business like show business. Flux with a flow and flux with a show. Britney Spears. Well, Britney Spears, she's had a bit of a whirlwind of a lifestyle, hasn't she? I mean, I have, to be fair. I mean, this was Plan A when I was. This was Plan A when I was 16. Media studies. Obviously, now my academic integrity at the age of 37 is now history and politics. That's why I've come back to doing what I'm doing, what I like. Britney Spears said she will not perform while father controls career. Britney is in a legal battle to end conservatorship set up in 2008. Britney Spears has said she will not perform again while her father retains control over her career as part of her conservatorship set up in 2018. The singer's message is the latest in a series of emotional public comments about the arrangement that controls her personal and financial affairs. This conservatorship killed my dreams, she said in a lengthy post on Instagram. So all I have is hope. Britney wants to bring an end to the arrangement, calling it abusive. The conservatorship was put in place after her father, Jamie Spears, petitioned a court for legal authority over the pop star's life and concerns about her mental health. I'm not going to be performing on any stage anytime soon with my dad handling what I wear, say, do or think. Britney, who has not performed in public since late 2018, wrote in a post, I'd much rather share videos, yes, from my living room instead of on stage in Vegas. I'm not going to put on heavy makeup and try to on stage again and not be able to do the real deal with remixes of my songs for years. In the message, Britney also said she did not like the way documentaries about her life bring up humiliating moments for the past, adding, I'm way past all that and have been for a long time. The documentaries, including Framing Britney Spears, which has been nominated for 2 Emmy Awards, together with the Free Britney movement, brought wider attention to the conservatorship and public support for the singer. In explosive court testimony last month, Britney said she had been forced to perform against her will and prevented her from having more children under the conservatorship. On Wednesday, she appointed a new lawyer to represent her in a legal bid to bring the arrangement to an end. They are yet to file a formal request, and the next court hearing will be on 29th of September in Las Vegas. Britney also said she wanted to charge Mr. Spears for his alleged conservatorship abuse, which can involve financially exploiting or imposing excessive personal restrictions on someone in care. He is currently the sole person in charge of his daughter's 43 million estate. His lawyers say he's not been in charge of her personal affairs since September 2019 because of his own poor health. It's nice that he's looking out for her, but controlling our lifestyle is a bit dramatic. Surely, once you come out of a mental health situation, you're at that age where you can sort of control your own financial status. Everyone has a bit of a breakdown in life, suffers a bit of mental health, becomes distraught for whatever reason. But it could be in the circles that you're in. It could be you're hanging in the wrong circles. Like I say, you need to make that change. You need to move on. Work on new aspirations. Work on that progressive progression again. Rebuild your characteristics. Whatever deteriorated your mindset, you can bring it back, but you just have to head in a different direction. I mean, there's many avenues you can turn down. When I was a kid, I wanted to always be an athlete, football player. But I got 60 Raynaud's disease. I was trying to do the impossible. That's just my mentality. I want to do something that's almost impossible, and exactly what I did. And I led my dream and done what I had to do. Same as everyone else. How you doing, Joe? Thank you for coming through. Please share my YouTube channel. It's built. I'm building back bigger and better. Brand new establishment. We're on Castbox. We'll be coming back next month, even bigger and better. We're hitting all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I share it on there, but it's not all on one constituent. Where I'm on all the channels live at the same time, which will be happening again next month. I'm banned on one of the social media platforms. That's why I didn't renew my thing. Renew the platform that I was on before. Anyway, short break. I'm gonna stay here, and we've got about 5 more segments to get through today. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I always do a show for about an hour, roughly, lasts about an hour. It's going to get the COVID ministers to hear if they face self-isolation after Javid tested positive. 18. Oh, Javid. Sajid Javid.
Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Ben Thompson and Rachel Byrne.
Good morning. Our headlines for you today. The Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, confirms he has COVID-19. It raises questions over who in government might have to self-isolate just hours before most restrictions in England are lifted.
With hundreds still missing after Germany's devastating floods, the scale of the disaster continues to emerge.
These residents of this home for disabled people tragically died. They were unable to leave their rooms, and apparently the water level just came up so fast.
Silverstone hosts the biggest sporting crowd since the start of the pandemic this afternoon. 140,000 fans head to the track for the British Grand Prix as Lewis Hamilton looks to keep his title hopes alive. The man hoping to circumnavigate mainland Britain on a paddleboard reaches the halfway point. We'll catch up with him as he rounds the top of Scotland.
And the UK makes the most of the sunny weather as the hottest temperatures of the year are recorded.
And there's more hot weather on the way for today. The sunshine is expected to last for a few more days yet.
Good morning to you. It is Sunday, the 18th of July. Our top story for you today. Senior government ministers are waiting to hear if they'll have to quarantine after the Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, confirmed he has tested positive for coronavirus.
Mr. Javid held a meeting with the Prime Minister on Friday, shortly before experiencing symptoms. It comes ahead of most COVID restrictions being lifted in England tomorrow. Our political correspondent Nick Eardley has this report.
Downing Street on Friday. The Health Secretary outside number 10, where he held talks with the Prime Minister. Last night, though, Sajid Javid confirmed he had coronavirus after a second test.
I was feeling a bit groggy last night, so I took a lateral flow test this morning and it's come out positive. So I'm now self-isolating at home with my family until I get the results of a PCR test. I'm grateful that I've had 2 jabs of the vaccine, and so far my symptoms are very mild.
He'll now have to self-isolate And there are questions over whether others might be told to stay at home too, including Boris Johnson. It comes ahead of a crucial week in which almost all legal restrictions in England will be lifted. From tomorrow, social distancing will be officially scrapped. There will be no limit at events, and legally, you won't have to wear a face covering, although in some places they will still be recommended. But the number of cases is increasing. There were more than 54,000 in the last 24-hour period, and some have warned about being too relaxed in the coming days and weeks. Next week will be a significant moment in the sometimes slow road out of lockdown in England, but it won't be back to normality overnight. Face coverings will still be recommended in some places, and there will still be an emphasis on caution. And the number of positive cases we're seeing, like the health secretaries, is a reminder that even if many restrictions are going, the virus hasn't disappeared. This is Wales yesterday, people taking advantage of the weather after restrictions on gatherings outside were lifted. There are more freedoms coming for people across the UK, but that doesn't come without risk. Nick Early, BBC News.
Well, the search continues for hundreds of missing people in Western Europe after record rainfall caused devastating flooding.
Yeah, more than 170 people have been killed across Germany and Belgium. Chancellor Merkel is due to visit the affected areas today. Our Europe correspondent Jenny Hill has more.
In Abbey, everyone is covered in thick, sticky mud. There's no power, nowhere to buy food, not much mobile reception. But they're doing what they can. Billy told us they've never seen anything like it here, not even in his grandparents' time. The water rose 2 meters in 15 or 20 minutes, he told us. People tried to save their things, went into their basements, and unfortunately got trapped. I was lucky, he said. I could get out the back of my basement. Around 100 people have died in this district alone, many more, and the damage it left behind. The water's receded, but the number of dead is expected to continue to rise. Search and rescue, it's feared, will soon be a recovery operation. So many people just want to help. Donations piling up, overwhelming the volunteers at this makeshift warehouse.
I can't imagine what it must be like to be affected. That's why I'm here, to help people.
In Abbey, across the region, lives turned upside down. This is Amelie. The water, she told us, came from the playground to our house, but luckily just the ground floor. My gran and granddad were affected though. They're staying with us now. As the waters slowly subside, they reveal the extent of the damage done.
The task of rebuilding this region seems overwhelming. So much of its vital infrastructure, bridges, roads, railways, is completely gone.
Hard to imagine the time, the money it'll take to get this region back on its feet. Jenny Hill, BBC News, Arvina.
Well, we can speak to our correspondent, Damien McGuinness. Damien, the pictures of the aftermath of these floods are absolutely devastating. So what is the focus of the rescue mission now?
Yeah, that's right, Rachel. As you saw in Jenny's report, there are so many people in this region who've been left with absolutely nothing. Livelihoods wiped out within a few seconds. So right now, the rescue operation is underway. I was talking to emergency responders yesterday who told me they're still looking for people. Many of those people may not have survived. That is the real problem right now. So the death toll may unfortunately go up still further. Angela Merkel is visiting Schulz. That's one of the small villages that was most badly hit, just a few kilometers from where I'm standing here. And right now I'm in a former stadium, and that's been turned into a donation center. We're just right beside a coordination point where emergency vehicles go in and out, seeing hundreds of ambulances and army vehicles going in and out of that center all the time. So the pressure is still on. Hundreds of people in this stadium have been working through the night to gather donations from local people, because that's been flooding in. We're talking blankets, food, water, supplies of all sorts to keep people going. And then the next step is to pass that on to those people who need. It's a difficult operation. because it's such a complicated situation and still a dangerous one, because so many of those roads are still unsafe. So officials are warning, really, you've got to be careful.
Damien, thank you very much.
Scotland is to bring in the same quarantine rules as England and Wales for travellers who are returning from France. From tomorrow, fully vaccinated people returning from Amber list countries will no longer have to self-isolate for 10 days, but the easing restrictions will not apply to France.
Meanwhile, Ibiza, Mallorca and Menorca will move from the government's green travel watch list to amber overnight tonight. That means fully vaccinated people travelling to England, Scotland and Wales will still be exempt from quarantine on return. Northern Ireland is expected to follow suit.
2 athletes have tested positive for coronavirus in the Olympic Village in Tokyo. Organisers say they are from the same team and sport as the official who failed the test yesterday. No further details have been released.
Police investigating violence and disorder at last Sunday's Euro final between England and Italy have released images of 10 men they want to speak to. Officers have condemned what they call the disgraceful scenes witnessed at Wembley Stadium. London's hosting of the match saw ugly scenes, which included some ticketless fans storming the grounds in an attempt to watch the game.
Northern Ireland's leading supermarkets have called for urgent action to prevent disruption to trade under the terms of the Brexit protocol. 6
retailers are asking for changes before October, when an extended grace period ends, which currently allows for lighter touch controls on some goods. Our reporter Sarah Girvin has more.
The 6 retailers named in this letter make up 3/4 of Northern Ireland's grocery market. They say that unless something is done come October 1st, when the grace period is due to end, they'll be hit by more checks on goods and more costs. That's because of the Northern Ireland Protocol. It's part of the Brexit deal and is aimed at avoiding a hard border on the island of Ireland by effectively keeping Northern Ireland in the EU's single market for goods. The supermarkets gave a similar warning back in January, when there were issues in getting some items to shelves in Northern Ireland. They say that since then, not enough has changed.
I think that's what the frustration and concern of the supermarkets is, that we haven't seen that movement to get a new way of trading between Great Britain and Northern Ireland under the protocol that removes friction.
As well as Northern Ireland consumers being impacted in terms of choice and costs, the retailers warn that red tape and falling profit margins could force them to move supply chains from Britain to the EU. The government is expected to set out its preferred way forward on the protocol on Wednesday. Sarah Girvin, BBC News.
There you go, legends. Going to move on with got a few more segments. 4 more segments to get through. We've got a lot of provocations caused in Essex just recently. Knife crime. It's just horrific, isn't it? How easy is it for these inhumane people just to pick up blade? It's crazy. COVID-19, the Prime Minister and Chancellor to self-isolate in U-turn. The Prime Minister and Chancellor will now self-isolate as normal after contact with Health Secretary Sajid Javid, who tested positive for coronavirus. The reversal comes just after hours after they said they would take part in a pilot scheme involving daily testing. The opposition party said it suggested there was one rule for them and another for the rest of us. Downing Street said Boris Johnson will conduct meetings remotely at Chequers. Chancellor Rishi Sunak said on Twitter, whilst the test and trace pilot is fairly restrictive, allowing only essential government business, I recognise that even the sense that the rules aren't the same for everyone is wrong. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said the Prime Minister and Chancellor had been busted yet again for thinking the rules that we are all following don't apply to them. The public have done so much to stick to the rules at a time when we need to maintain confidence in self-isolation. Parents, workers and businesses will be wondering what on earth is going on in Downing Street, he said. The way the Prime Minister conducts himself creates chaos, makes bad government and has deadly consequences for the British public. Labour's Jonathan Ashworth had earlier told the BBC Andrew Marr show that it was unfair that politicians appeared to have access to the VIP testing to avoid self-isolation, while Liberal Democrat leader Ed Davey asked if it was only available to the privileged few. The managing director of the Iceland supermarket, Richard Walker, also criticised the proposals from Mr Johnson and Mr Sunak to avoid self-isolation. Shame the hundreds of Iceland staff who have been pinged can't avoid self-isolation. We can all do a daily lateral flow test, he said. I mean, one thing I don't get, it's like the England game. I mean, I don't know who's in charge of how many spectators can be in an England game, or any for the matter. I don't know who's in charge. If it's down to the Conservative, if it's down to the Prime Minister, or if it's a made-up thing of, you know, amongst all the politicians together. I don't know. I really don't know. But I thought that was a ludicrous idea for having all them spectators at a football game. Really do. Can't get my head around it. My head's in the U-turn. That's about the only U-turn thing. Is my head thinking what's going on. One of the fastest government U-turns ever. This must be one of the fastest government U-turns ever. 157 minutes after saying the PM and Chancellor wouldn't be isolated. Downing Street decided they would. The reason is set out by Rishi Sunak on Twitter. Ministers can't be seen to be following different rules to everyone else. But questions will be asked about the number 10 initially said they would be escaping isolation. Who made the decision? Who signed it off? Prime Minister and the Chancellor must have known about the plan. It's also a fact that the Prime Minister and Chancellor had the choice over whether to isolate. Which most possible done at the moment. The political symbolism is also highly significant. 3 senior government ministers will be in isolation on the day. Almost all legal restrictions are lifted in England. Mr Javid tested positive on Saturday morning after a meeting at Downing Street the day before, and both Boris Johnson and Mr Sunak were contacted by the NHS Test and Trace. Number 10 had said a workplace pilot scheme would allow the Prime Minister and Chancellor to keep working from Downing Street by taking daily tests. A spokesman said they would only be able to carry out essential government business and would self-isolate at all other times. Stepping in for Mr Javid, who is self-isolated after testing positive, Housing Secretary Robert Jenrick had defended the plan on the Andrew Marr show. The scheme is well known as after a long-standing one. It's not just available for politicians, he said, but he added that his own department was not part of the scheme. The government said there were 20 public and private sector organisations involved in the pilot scheme, including Network Rail, Transport for London and Heathrow and Border Force. Looking at the criminology across the border, well, so across the border, in Essex, to be fair. Here we go. The provocation stabbings. A man wearing a mask. Very close to home. Very, very close to home. How can you stop it? I mean, why was a man wearing a mask? It must have been a provoked attack, possibly. I'm surmising, but why use it to stab someone? Still, why stab someone? Man stabbed in Chelmsford city centre by suspects wearing ski masks. Man was taken to hospital with serious stab wounds. Possibly something to do with narcotics, I'm not surmising. Man has been seriously injured in a stabbing following an assault in Chelmsford last night. The 21-year-old was assaulted on Springfield Road between Bond Street and High Street at approximately 11:10 on Friday PM. July 16th, after a group of people wearing ski masks approached him and his friend and stabbed him. Sometimes it can be done purely out of jealousy. Maybe he's a good-looking chap. A lot of women like him. So these young lads went out. I don't know if they're young lads, just smiling again. Could be same age. Could be a threat to them at school. You know, throughout high school, and they remember him as he's come out of high school. Still the same lad in the same town. They get jealous. There's a lot of hatred out there. It's really bad. There's so many hatred people out there. So bad. The man had seriously stabbed him to the leg and was taken to hospital. However, the injuries are not believed to be life-threatening or changing. The victim and his friend were approached by a group of men while they were on the night out in Essex. An argument happened later with the same group of men prior to the stabbing. Police are continuing investigations into assault and finding the suspect in connection with the stabbing. Essex police stated a 20-year-old man had been stabbed in the leg and was taken to hospital. His injuries were serious, but not life-threatening or life-changing. From our inquiries so far, it is believed the victim and his friend had been approached by a group of men while out for an evening Chelmsford. There was an argument, and later in the evening, the same group, including the suspect, approached them, and the victim was assaulted. The suspects were wearing ski masks. We are continuing to review CCTV and speak to witnesses. If you were on Springfield Road and High Street around 8 p.m. and 11:30 p.m, contact Chelmsford CID quoting the reference. Get a pen ready. 42/14135/21 or call 101. There you go. We've got to cut 2 more segments to get through. I'm going to do this one and then I'm going to have a short break. Man stabbed outside Southend pub. Police cornered outside Southend pub after man is stabbed. 2 men have been arrested in connection with the incident. Grays and Sons pub. The man has been stabbed outside an Essex pub following a fight in the early hours of the morning, July 17. Reports came in of a fight on London Road, Westcliff, approximately after 4:05 a.m. when a man in his 20s was found outside Critters Club with the stab wounds to his arm. Officers searched the area and 2 men have been arrested in connection with assault, which they will both remain in custody for questioning. A spokesperson of Essex Police said 2 men have been arrested in connection with assault on a man on London Road, Westcliff. The fight was reported after 4:05 a.m. on Saturday, 7th July, and a man aged in his 20s was found with a stab wound to his arm. Officers searched the area and arrested 2 people a short time later. A 19-year-old man from Leigh-on-Sea was arrested on suspicion of causing GBH and a fray, and an 18-year-old man from Westcliff was arrested on suspicion of causing GBH. The pub announced on Facebook that it will open as normal, but the main entrance has been closed because of the incident, which customers need to use side gate to get to the venue. They have a thing on Facebook. The pub has written, Imajai Simon, today we are open as normal, despite the incident outside. There you go. One more segment to get through our short break and listen to LBC. We've got Tom Swarbrick. Tom Swarbrick. Oh no. Maid Nawez.
2 minutes to impact. Missiles at the ready. I need the final coordinates of that meeting right now.
Affirmative, sir. I'm on it. Get meteor? No. Meatball war? Nope. Make your meat massive? What? Meet a Greek?
Running out of time here, buddy boy.
Meteor spotter, where are you?
General?
There you are!
Make sure you can trust your Mac. Need my Mac X.
say it's too early to blame climate change.
In general, these kinds of events are becoming more severe throughout the world. But unfortunately, the local conditions can vary so much that it can change from no change at all to kind of double or change.
Northern Ireland's leading supermarkets are calling for urgent action to avoid trade disruption as part of the Brexit deal. The retailers say the protocol rules which govern trade will lead to increased costs when bringing goods from Great Britain. The Tokyo 2020 organising committee is reassuring participants the Games is safe after 2 athletes living in the Olympic Village tested positive for COVID-19. The competitors, who are both from the same country and sport, have been taken to separate accommodation to isolate. IOC President Thomas Bach insisted on Thursday the risk of the Japanese public being infected with the virus by a Games participant is zero. The weather, plenty of sunshine everywhere except northern and western Scotland. Very warm, especially in the south, a high of 32. From Global's newsroom, I'm Tim Humphrey.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Majid Nawaz.
Good afternoon, it's Majid Nawaz here on LBC, leading Britain's conversation for the regular weekend show. We're going to do 2 hours on this incredible story that's broken today, and that is that after yesterday, the news broke that the Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, after having had the vaccine, being double jabbed, was tested positive with COVID, but nevertheless still able to function and speak to a camera. By all accounts, he seemed okay. He had the sniffles probably, and I wish him well. But that broke yesterday. Today, news broke that the Prime Minister and the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Boris Johnson and Rishi Sunak, were not intending to self-isolate, despite having spent a long cabinet meeting with the Health Secretary while he clearly had COVID. There was an online backlash. People such as political journalist Isabel Oakeshott and biographer of former Prime Minister David Cameron started a hashtag, send them a message, sending videos across social media expressing their utter outrage at the fact that the Prime Minister and his Chancellor were not intending to stick to the very rules, once again, that they expected the rest of the country to adhere to. The app that was sending people pings has given rise to a phrase, pingdemic, with multiple sectors across the country being left unable to function because their staff are off due to them continuously being pinged, having been apparently in the vicinity of somebody else who tested positive for COVID. Mothers with children at school and entire schools and classes being shut down, and without any pre-notice, mothers having to cancel any plans they'd made for the next 10 days, including work plans, because then they have to look after their children at home, as all children also get sent home if a ping occurs in a school, let alone in the industries that after so long have been struggling and waiting to open up tomorrow, such as nightclubs, hospitality, travel, who will be rendered absolutely helpless if even a portion of their staff are pinged by this app. And yet the guidance continued and remained that people are expected to self-isolate by being one removed, even if they are asymptomatic, and even if they test negative for COVID, they are expected to self-isolate for 10 days, even if they are only one removed from somebody else who tested positive. And yet here we had the Prime Minister and the Chancellor of the Exchequer suddenly discovering, out of nowhere, a pilot scheme that they kindly volunteered to put themselves forward for. And that was that, hey guys, there's this new pilot scheme in some government departments, including Downing Street, that we're all participating in, that we'd never heard of until now, that allows us not to self-isolate if we are in the proximity of somebody else that tested positive for COVID. And guess what? We, the Prime Minister and the Chancellor of the Exchequer, two of the most powerful people in this country, who've been responsible for making these rules for everybody else, kindly volunteer ourselves for this test and this pilot scheme not to self-isolate, while the rest of you have to continue self-isolating if you're pinged. Expectedly, that caused a fierce and immediate online backlash. And I applaud Isabel and others who started the hashtag send them a message, because once again, we were yet to witness that those who make the rules felt that they were somehow exempt from adhering to them themselves. And yet in this sweltering heat, the rest of the country was expected to self-isolate indoors for 10 days if they were pinged. With no news of a pilot program existing for key workers who've continued to work through this entire period because they're on living wages, or even indeed minimum wages, and yet the Prime Minister and the Chancellor discover that there's a pilot scheme that they can suddenly utilise to avoid abiding by these rules. And so whether it's this case or indeed the VIP exemptions that were made for the UEFA Cup final with quarantine-free travel for UEFA VIPs attending the match at Wembley, or prior to that, whether it's the Grand Prix or indeed the races at Ascot. Now, there are now multiple cases where suddenly it's revealed that there are exemptions are possible for people who can either pay their way or who are too important. Let's not forget the garden party at the G7 summit, the barbecue out in the open where all these world leaders were so close to each other that they had their arms around each other. Forget social distancing rules, but that's important, of course. You're running the world. It's really important. It's really important to run the world. COVID won't touch you if you're running the world. And I haven't even started yet on the personal violations of these very rules that these people put in place, such as Matt Hancock, the health secretary, the person more so than anyone who was responsible for defining these rules, getting caught breaking them on camera himself, and prior to that, the chief of staff for the Prime Minister, Dominic Cummings, who is now seeking redemption. But of course, he was caught breaking the rules to test his eyesight. The very same voices that have been sending police to escort people, arrest people, and fine people for infractions as small as not wearing a mask. Well, guess what? Not wearing a mask, as it turns out, even now, as somebody who sits on stage has admitted, as of yesterday, in the Telegraph, headline, cloth face masks are comfort blankets that do little to curb COVID spread, Sage advisor warns. Dr. Colin Axon, who has advised the government on minimising the risk of cross-infection in supermarkets, accused medics of presenting a cartoonish view of how tiny particles travel through the air. He warned some cloth masks have gaps that, despite being invisible to the naked eye, are still 500,000 times the size of viral COVID particles. People being fined and brutalised by law enforcement for not wearing a mask. And yet the Prime Minister, the Chancellor, all those at the G7 barbecue, the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, the former Chief of Staff, Dominic Cummings, the whole lot of them decide when it suits them that the rules don't apply to them. And yes, the Prime Minister and the Chancellor U-turned within 2 hours. I mean, I think if we would like to fact check it, that may well be the fastest U-turn in British political history on an issue as significant. U-turned within 2 hours because they saw the writing on the wall with the ferocity of this online campaign pointing out their hypocrisy. But I'm sorry, that's too little, too late. A 2-hour U-turn, as commendable as it is to change your minds and realise that you were wrong, one does wonder that you'd already sent the message to the public that you feel that you were above the rules. That message was already signed, sealed, and delivered to the public. Your U-turn indicates that you feared the public's response after you attempted to telegraph to the public that the rules didn't adhere to you, that you didn't have to abide by the rules. So now the public has received the message, regardless of the U-turn, that you felt yourselves exempt. What that does to your moral authority for attempting to continue implementing these rules or extending them in any way beyond the summer is, I think, or should be obvious. without moral authority, we stand at a crossroads. Moral authority for these COVID rules. Without that, we stand at a crossroads. How do you enforce rules that people no longer believe that you yourselves believe in? There's two ways you can go. Either you realize, once you've lost moral authority, that you can no longer have policing by consent, for example, or indeed in a democracy, a social contract entered into voluntarily by the public. If you realize you've lost moral authority, you can no longer have the consent required to enforce these rules, then the only option becomes to drop them. Once and for all, for good, irreversibly. But I said we stand at a crossroads. There is one other option. What do some people do when they want to cling on to power, but no longer have the moral authority to enforce the rules? Of course, they resort to tyranny. They resort to force. When they realize that they want to continue imposing rules on the public that the public know that they don't even believe in themselves, the only way to do that is to force it on the public. So I say to our ruling class, I say to those responsible for deciding how the rest of us can live, eat, breathe, and sleep, and with whom we sleep, quite literally, that's what they were deciding, right down to it's illegal to have sexual relations with anybody outside of your immediate house. Don't forget, people, the rules went down to that level of personal infringement. It's illegal to have sex with somebody who doesn't live with you, even if that was your long-term partner. And yet there was Matt Hancock doing whatever he was doing. So when you know that the public know that you no longer believe in the rules, you've lost that moral authority, the only other option you have left, if you wish to continue enforcing these rules, is to enforce them on the public against our will. That is called tyranny. So my advice would be, ditch the rules as is planned tomorrow, once and for all, forever, and stick to your promise, Mr. Prime Minister, because you used the word irreversible. And the last time I checked, irreversible does not mean reversible, unless we're living in the kind of world that George Orwell spoke of in 1984, where the very meaning of language is changed. You're listening to Majid Nawaz here on LBC, and the time is 1:16.
This is LBC. Welcome to Love Matcher UK. Enter the details of your perfect partner.
Okay, so ideal height and build. Bit taller than me. Eyes. Yes, these.
Last but not least, majority of people had their COVID vaccination. Majority. Some people ain't having it for the sake of whatever, I don't know. But the way things are going on, you can see why they haven't, really, to be honest. It's a bit of one in arguments that you want to argue the case, why aren't you getting vaccination done? But then they're doing, I don't know, can't comprehend. They should make it, they should have made it mandatory, and they should have made England game not happen. Or the game, but the supporters not happen. If supporters are supposed to be professional, such as the football players, really, but they don't act it. Find beer everywhere, it's ludicrous. Big stadium, they could have all kept 2 meters apart, stayed in their bubble. Find beer everywhere, it's crazy. Anyway, moving on. COVID-19 decision on vaccinations for under 18s within days. A decision on routinely offering COVID jabs to under 18s will be made within days, a senior minister said. Committee Secretary Robert Jenwick has said the government was very sympathetic to the idea of inviting children aged 12 to 17 to have a jab. It comes as every adult in the UK has now been offered the vaccine, with Prime Minister hailing the extraordinary achievement. England and Scotland are set to ease restrictions from Monday. It comes as more than 50,000 daily coronavirus cases were recorded on both Friday and Saturday, levels last seen in January. So far, around 88% of adults had their first dose, and around 68% have had both, according to the latest figures. Compelling evidence. The Joint Committee on Vaccination and Immunisation advises government ministers on which people should be offered a vaccine. Mr Jenrick told the BBC Andrew Marr show, "We're all still awaiting the final advice from the JCPI about extending the vaccination programme to younger people. It seems like a sensible thing to do. The evidence we have received so far is compelling, and ministers are going to make a decision armed with advice in the coming days. If he does get a go-ahead, those just short of their 18th birthday are likely to be invited to have vaccine first, along with those who have had health vulnerabilities and children who live in households with others who are more vulnerable." His comments come after the report in Sunday Daily Telegraph said that JCPI is believed to advise ministers against a mass vaccination programme for children until further evidence of risk is available. According to the Daily Telegraph, the guidance this week is expected to say vaccine should be offered only to vulnerable people 12 to 15 years old and to those who are within months of turning 18. More than 46 million people have been given a jab since UK's COVID vaccine rollout began in December 2020. Mr Johnson promised in February that all adults will be offered the first dose by the end of July, and Health Secretary Sajid Javid said last month that the government wanted 2/3 of UK adults to have had 2 by July the 19th. The Prime Minister urged anyone who had not booked their vaccine to do so and thanked those who had taken up their offer. "You are the reasons we are able to cautiously ease restrictions next week and return closer towards normal life," he said. "Now let's finish the job." But in Scotland, almost a third of younger adults remain unvaccinated, despite the fact by the end of Sunday, all over 18 will be offered an appointment to have their first dose. Health Secretary Humza Yousaf said some had rearranged appointments and would receive the jab shortly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is Proclamation News and Gavins. I'm having a little song for you to finish the show.
Get the fuck up in here. I'm like a generic version of Winfrey and Mentor, Minty, fixing up a homeless from night share and food deprivation. These are set up from across the nation. Going back to the part, Jesus is risen. Here we go. Let's hit it. Let's hit the show. Yeah, come on, Proc. Feel the beat. I know you got what it takes. Proc, come on, Proc. Hit the rock. Hit the clock. The time's clocking down. Stop playing around, Proc. Here we go. Feel the beat. Jesus Christ is risen. It's a positive resurrection. Jesus is risen. It's a propositive resurrection. Now he's here to stay, to give us a direction. At this damn moment, we're heading in one direction. I don't know what we're gonna do. Exit with the Brexit or the EU. All I know, one of his disciples, Bojo, is in the firing line as one of Jesus' selection. At this damn time, at this damn moment in time, we're heading in one direction. I don't know what we're gonna do. Exit with the Brexit or the EU. All I know, one of his disciples, Bojo, is in the firing line as one of his selection. This minute in time, the whole damn world is corroding. Our population growth in the UK is overloading. This minute in time, the whole damn world is corroding. Our population growth in the UK is overloading. We need this Brexit to form a unity, to protect our community. I spit these lyrics with diva, but I'm a firm believer. We gotta be a real receiver. Send out meditations and from cosmos visit all different nations. We need this Brexit to form a unity to protect our community. I spit these lyrics with diva, but I'm a firm believer. We gotta be a real achiever. Send out meditations. You're all different nations. Every day we're praying so hard to battle these sporadic night crime from happening all over the globe. I sit sometimes and think to myself, where's it all gonna sum up? Sometimes in life, certain things you all gotta drop. What happened to parental responsibilities for these dumb juvenile kids with their no possibilities? All I know is we're heading in one direction. Now Jesus knows he's gonna make us a selection. Come on, bro. What's it gonna be? What happened to parents' responsibilities? The dumb juvenile kids, there's no possibilities. All I know is we're heading in one direction. Jesus knows he's gonna make us a selection. I'm gonna sing hallelujah, amen. It's our time to shine and stop this sporadic knife crime. We're gonna put a bop to it. We're gonna sing a stop to it. We gotta put a stop to it. There's no forbearance for the parents and dumbass kids playing Grand Theft Auto, smoking weed or Assassin's Creed. They don't know playing silly games ain't gonna earn them no dough. Join the army, kid, and soon the world gonna blow. Our community, our country, our safety is paramount. Parliamentary sovereignty, the law is the law divide above all judiciary in the UK. Laws divide, laws multiply. We raised you, God praised you. Now all you can do is sit here, living on welfare. Our community, our country, is our safety, is paramount. Parliamentary sovereignty is law divide above all other judiciary in the UK. Laws divide, laws multiply. We raised you, God praised you. Now all you can do is sit here, you're living on welfare. Amen. Here we go, fuck. It's a capital P. You know what it's gotta be. Here we go. The capital P in proclamation. Professor Johnson introducing you to inconspicuous. Here we go. You know I can sing it. You know I can wing it. H to the E to the R to the T. The FORD SHIRE. Hertfordshire. That's where it's at. We're straight talking. We're talking my pedigree. We've never been no anti-Semitism. Totally against terrorism. We need to stop this scrutiny to our community. At first I didn't know. I put a rhyme to this until I dialed 99 and put a crime to this. No, never been no anti-Semitism. Totally against terrorism. We need to stop the scrutiny to our community. At first I didn't know. I put a rhyme to this until I dialed 999 and put a crime to this. Last year I would have stuck a fist to this. Now I stick a gist to this. I'm like Justin is boy Marta. It's legit. I just got smarter. After I didn't know, I could have put a rhyme to this until I dialed 999 and put a crime to this. Last year I would have stuck a fist to this. Now I stick a gist to this. I'm like Justin is boy Marta. It's legit. I just got smart. I remember when I used to get bullied in first grade about my speech impediment. Now my rhyme's right, my rhyme's tight. These girls say I'm unapproachable. They say I look like from Mauritius, looking all kinds of delicious. My real name's Justin, and clearly why the girls ain't trusting. These girls say I'm unapproachable. They say I look like I'm from Mauritius, looking all kinds of delicious. My real name's Justin. They can clearly see why the girls ain't trusting. They become inconspicuous. I'm an apologetic apologist. There's no reason there's a reason I got no forbearance. I was born with no parents. I joined the Nigerian Christian Gospel Church like a white opposite version of Sister Mary Clarence. I joined the Nigerian Gospel Church like a white opposite version of Sister Mary Clarence. Now I'm there every Sunday making appearance. I'm also the convener facilitator, the gospel illustrator, a food bank support worker accumulator. The reason I got no forbearance, I was born with no parents. Thanks all.
just wanted to share that song with you guys. It's, I made that song 2019, 8th of August, both songs. 8th of August 2019. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a phenomenal show. Thank you for tuning in. 2 years ago, almost, 8th of August, I'm 21 now, almost 2 years ago, my hair was down to my shoulders. People thought I was suffering mental health. No, I was just growing more wisdom, growing more knowledge, changing my aspirations in life. I thought it doesn't matter what I look like. Although it looked okay actually, long hair. I've made it look smart. I brushed it, still washed it every day. Looked after my health and hygiene as much as possible. I look like I just come out of a gutter really with long hair, but I'm still clean, still hygienic. Most of all, I was thinking about prosperity, where it lies, what I want to get myself into, what I want to achieve. I set certain goals, I had a vision. And I've got this vision that I want to support the whole country. With my news, national news that I do every single day, methodically. Maybe train up to become a cancer, which I'm doing. Doing all the courses that I need to do to get what I need to get in life. Hopefully, once I get qualified, I'll get a buddy and they'll show me the ropes. I'm confident in anything I'll put my hands on. I'm confident I'll work hard as I can to get there. I might struggle with some things. Literature, I'm not so bad at. I'm quite good at literature. I pick it up quite quickly. English is my first language, obviously. But tell you what, when you write essays, small words I get more muddled up with small wordings than I do bigger words. That's why I've got widespread jurisdiction. And I emphasise when I exfoliate my expression. I like to say that word, exfoliate my expression, because you exfoliate your hair, don't you? Exfoliate your pores in your skin. You exfoliate my expression. You exfoliate your pores, you let them, like blossom, let them come out, let them cure, they say. That's what I say, exfoliate my expression. I like that word. If it goes down well, makes sense. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's proclamation of the governments. Have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday, the 18th of July. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow is the 19th, and it's the start of the week. Back to normality for some. Back to what I'm doing now. Tomorrow, exactly the same thing. That takes a while. Do you like me doing these newscasts, promoting it, sharing it, trying to get people to subscribe? It's hard work. Hard work. All for the sake of someone puts the subscribe on a YouTube button or a Castbox. If they listen in, I'm giving good qualitative. Well, it's propaganda, but it's good qualitative propaganda because it's in the everyday news article. Rather than go out and buy a newspaper to working class people, what they do, most people do, even people that are not working, still go and buy a newspaper, something to read. You don't have to read, you can just relax in your chair, just like I am now. Put your headphones on, close your eyes. Or you can use your cognitive skills, can't you? What could you do while you listen to me rather than reading it? What could you do? Maybe you could do, I don't know, you could be doing Scrabble, you could be doing anything, playing cards, you're washing up, put your headphones on. Makes a lot of difference. Makes a lot of difference. You can do something. You could be sorting out your bills. Sorting out your bills online. Do anything while your headphones on. I'm saving paper. What I'm doing is saving paper. If people put their headphones on, they could do artwork, they can make clay models. I'm making a difference. So thank you all for tuning in. Let's hope I can build, more listeners would be absolutely phenomenal. I know most journalists on YouTube, they get support. They get support where they can get financial help. They get more followers, more subscribers, more publications. But anyway, take care. God bless. One love. speak soon. I thought the more subscribers I get, to start off with nothing. And now I've got like 207, slowly, gradually building the numbers up. I wonder if 10 million can make a difference. Like 10 million subscribers, like the big companies. Would that make any difference? How many people would be bots watching him? And how many people we will? That's what I'd like to know. Anyway, take care, guys. God bless. Have one wonderful day and a good week ahead. Take care. God bless.